Allahu, 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 Allah.
Firstly, before you do anything, you have to say, okay, what's the objective of it? Because if somebody said to me, right, I want to study medicine, I want to study science, I want to study these things. According to classical Islamic scholars, science is fard al-kifaya, and it's ajr, because you're benefiting mankind. So Imam Ghazali spoke about this as well, that it's fard al-kifaya, and if people don't do it, then it's a bad thing. So that's clear, there's a benefit. The issue with philosophy today is philosophy should be thinking about thinking. However, philosophy today is a program that if you enter it is designed to make you skeptical and to fit in line with a liberal worldview. You will not find, it's not a perspectiveless perspective, it is a indoctrination. I, alhamdulillah, by the permission of Allah, I've done a master's in philosophy, and I know other people that are doing a MPhil and up there, and I'm telling you guys, it is full of priming for atheism. And if you do not understand what's known as Islamic epistemology, you will get into kufr, I believe, right? So you have to understand that. So you have to understand there's a danger. Secondly, you have to understand is, okay, what's the objective? Are you trying to do it for the dawah purpose? Are you trying to do it for another purpose? So there has to be an objective. Another thing Hamza says is you have to have a student of knowledge with you who you can contact, who has knowledge of philosophical concepts from an Islamic perspective, which is called Islamic epistemology. Because you have to understand, what Ibn Taymiyyah said is timeless. If you have a debate between yourself and an opponent, what Ibn Taymiyyah said is that you may implicitly accept their assumptions without realizing those are assumptions. So one of the problems with Western philosophy is you may get ideas which you think are perspectiveless perspective, but those are assumptions of an atheistic worldview. Such as, I'll give you one example, it's the tabula rasa. It's the idea that everything has to be justified and you don't start off with any knowledge. Not only is that philosophically incoherent, that contradicts Islam, because we have the fitrah. We don't believe you should believe in Allah because of reason alone. We say reason brings out what we already know. Truth is, we believe in Allah because of fitrah. So there has to be a benefit, there has to be an objective, there has to be someone you're linked to make sure you don't get into certain thing. The other thing which I want to make clear is philosophy haram? This is a big discussion, right? So what is haram according to scholars is the ilm of kalam, which is when people went into the sifat of Allah, what is Allah like, and they went into heresies. That's haram. Generally philosophy of language, philosophy of ethics, philosophy of science, that's not problematic because you're studying thing. The demarcation here is, if you like, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where the Prophet said, reflect upon creation, do not reflect upon Allah, because you cannot comprehend the true essence of Allah except by believing in Him. So the Prophet is giving us a demarcation. He ﷺ is saying, you can reflect about creation, so that means philosophy of science, philosophy of language, different types of things, but do not reflect about Allah, because you cannot comprehend Allah except by believing in Him. This is where Ahlul Sunnah and the deviant group separate, because where they said is, no, we can understand Allah using our aql alone, and the problem is the aql is limited and Allah is beyond that. So I would say keep these things in mind, because it is very dangerous for a young person who doesn't have a background in Islam to fall into these types of kufri ideas. Likewise, if a student from the West who happens to be in a Muslim country like Turkey, and he enters the Kalam department at say Istanbul University, he is likely to fall into Islamic ideas through philosophy, because Islamic philosophy from the Islamic perspective has ideas which prime you for faith, when their ideas prime you for atheism. So I would generally say, my general answer is, there's all these things to consider.